Joining us now, we have Chris Paxton and Rajith Kumar. Chris Paxton is the president of D3 Training Solutions. She has almost 30 years of experience in training and development and HR. She's also a volunteer with the Lectora Accessibility User Group, so you may have seen her on previous webinars about accessibility and topics like that. Rajith is a seasoned UX and visual design professional with experience in user experience design, interaction design, animation, and typography. He is over in India, so he's joining us from India, and along with his team, he conducts R&D to explore the possibilities of integrating AI into media production. And today, they are showing us some very cool tricks with AI and Lectora. So without further ado, I will bring them to the stage and they can take over.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And I don't know about Rajith, but I'm sitting here thinking, okay, how do we follow John's presentation? But he laid it out really well. I do want to put my plug in on what about, again, cake balls? For anyone who's been in my other sessions, I don't necessarily do donuts, but I make a mean cake ball. So I think those are tastier. So I'm going to add that in for the vote. Let me go through and share my screen. And I do want to welcome everyone. My name is Chris. I'm a white female in my mid-50s with graying blonde hair. I wear glasses and my pronouns are she and her. And I have been using Lectora since 2004, and I've been in this field for a bit longer. I am always excited about the new updates, and seeing how this field has evolved and changed is just amazing. Now, I'm going to start, as mentioned, with Lectora and the new AI course wizard. We're going to go into that a little bit more, and then Rajith will demonstrate with integrating the chat GPT with Lectora, which we saw a little bit of. But before we get started, I again want to continue kind of on what John mentioned, because I know for many people out there, the thought of AI kind of sometimes sends chills down our spine, thinking it's going to replace us as developers. But I just want to say it really should be looked at as another tool in our toolkit. As mentioned, we use AI stuff all the time, whether we really realize it or not, whether it's a text-to-speech using Amazon Polly, which if you read that in the chat or not, Lectora and Lectora Online both use Amazon Polly, so you don't have to have a dedicated login there, or Murph or Well Said Labs, and Grammarly, or even spell check on your computer. Or within Lectora or any of your tools uses AI. In addition to if you open your phone with your face or your fingertip or your smart home devices and things like Google search. So it's all just another tool. And it's exciting to be in on this early aspect so we can actually have that tool and make our lives a little easier. Now, to relate it back to the tool too, depending on how old you are, when I think back to writing papers, I would head to the library and look things up in a card catalog. For those who aren't as old, then this was pre-internet. So this was our first step in researching a topic. But with today's technology of computers and the internet, we don't have to physically go to the library, although I do encourage you, libraries are wonderful. I love them. But we don't have to go through and look through card catalogs. In fact, I don't know that you can find them anymore, the actual physical card catalog itself. So we're going to talk about AI course, the AI course wizard in Lectora. I'm glad that made you laugh. I'm going to minimize this a moment and come over here to the studio. And hopefully you all attended our session on Monday, introducing the studio by ELB Learning. And when we think about the AI wizard, yes, it's new in Lectora Online. We'll talk more about that with desktop in a moment. But it's really just there to help you get your course started. For those who are longtime users of Lectora, maybe that term wizard may bring back some fond memories of previous Lectora wizards, such as the background wizard, the button wizard, the design wizard, title wizard, certificate wizard. Those are just to name a few. And these are all things that we still use, often on a very daily basis, created to make our lives as developers easier. So I'm hoping we're going to find that AI wizard to be the same thing, and eventually they'll drop the wizard name because it's just part of our everyday lives. Now I got out of the presentation, going into the studio. Again, one of the things I'm going to do additional plug here, I love about the studio is everything is right here at my fingertips. And if you know me, trying to memorize all the logins and passwords are crazy. So it's just that one single sign in and log on. So I don't have those multiple passwords and everything is right here, hopefully to make, again, my life easier so I can create better content. So I'm going to go ahead and launch Lectora Online. And it comes up. Now, for many, one of the first steps, because people are like, well, how does this fit in? We're going to, again, dive in this deeper. One of the first steps is, again, gathering that information and creating a storyboard, then building it in Lectora. And Lectora has a lot of things already set up to help us build our project. So I'm going to go create new project. So starting from the bottom, I mean, I could use my own templates, and whether it's Lectora Online or desktop, you can have, at least as far as I know, as many templates as you want. I know I probably have 30 or 40 in another in the desktop version. We have the course starters, which is just another name for templates provided to us from ELB. I will add another note here that I think there are about 18 22, something like that, actually installed or included in the package. But if you go out to the ELB Learning website, there are at least 10 more. And that's something I'm out in the community. I'm out looking at assets like images and photo. Well, it's kind of the same thing, audio, video. I often forget to look at their additional templates. And I went in the other day and there were 10 more I had never seen. So be sure to go out and take a look there. You could also use a course framework, which kind of goes back to a question from the earlier session. Well, can we add things in as far as quizzes and stuff? We'll talk about that. In addition to our themes. And again, this is all ways that we could put them in our coursework. We could start from there and then just start adding content. Okay, great. But instead of starting with those, we're going to start with, as we mentioned, the AI Course Wizard. And in doing so, very much like what John just pointed out, we're going to keep it simple. We need to first create a course topic. And hang on, let me bring that chat up because there was some great chat earlier. Perfect here. So originally I was going to do how to tie a tie because I Googled and Google said that outside a specific cooking topics, that's one of their most popular searches. But I think I'm going to leave it up to you all and say,
Well,
what
Chris,
should this
I'm
course be
pretty
about?
sure that fat cats also wear ties.
That's so how to teach a cat to tie a tie?
No,
Maybe?
somebody put in the chat something perhaps
Yeah.
more
Operating use
realistic.
patient. Okay. Let's see. How to teach a cat to use a toilet. I've actually done that.
That is actually a real thing. I've considered trying to teach my cat to do that.
My cats were toilet trained. It was very nice.
Oh, wow. I kind of feel like we should go with that.
Okay, so we'll go with that. So teach a cat to use the toilet. Now you'll notice as soon as I started typing in, we had a tooltip come up that again just reminded us, keep it simple. It doesn't need to be complete sentences, which I think is fantastic. From there, we can choose the number of pages and you can choose anywhere from 1 page up to 15. And of course, we can add new pages. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 10, which is the default because we are going to want to add some pages. And by default, it chooses the theme of Amaranth. But because I'm not sure why, it's just there. I'm going to select change theme. And for those Lectora Online users or even desktop users, you're going to see a brand new theme that just came out in this new release called Airy. And we can see there's several different colors and things on there. But I'm going to scroll down because I really like that Miminous, if I'm saying it right. Where is it? So you can scroll through here. Yeah, I'm going to choose this one and we'll do Morningstar with navigation. So I'll go ahead and select that theme and I'll say use theme. And once everything again looks about right. I will go ahead and say generate. Now, as mentioned, the wizard is going to perform its magic, and this normally takes about 60 seconds to complete. I will say it kind of depends on your internet connection. Anyone who's been on a call with me, I usually cite the weather and everything because I'm in a rural area. And so my internet can sometimes be a little buggy. But again, it gives you these jokes. I call them bad dad jokes because they're hilarious. Why did the AI cross the road to get to the other cache? So yeah, and along with these little images to keep us entertained. And I can't watch them too long because it almost is hypnotizing. So yeah, the jokes are great. Hey, Laura, good to see you here. Now we can see that it is loading. And once my course is complete, I can then do cleanup. So as I look at this, wow, this is amazing. I'm first going to go through and just notice a couple things. And this is where, again, so many developers are like, oh my gosh, it's going to replace us. No, there's still work definitely to be done. So the first thing I can do is I can see my menu isn't long enough. So I'm just going to make that a little longer, and I'm actually going to hide it so we don't look at it from there. But we can see we've got our introduction, how to teach a cat. Okay, cleanliness. All right. The benefits of toilet training. Great. Understanding the cat's behavior, preparing the environment, transitioning to the toilet seat. I actually used a kit. I don't know how they did this here. Filling the toilet with water, removing litter box maintenance, common challenges, and conclusions. So we look at this and we can say, okay, this gives us a good idea of where to get started from. At least most of the information is there. I will say, no matter what, with any type of AI, and many of you all mentioned this in your comments, is that we do want to verify for accuracy, because hopefully we all know that the internet is not 100% accurate. Okay. Um, and make it your own. So again, this currently is more of a presentation. So how do we make it a training module? Well, some of the things I know I would do, and I'm just gonna kind of highlight, is I would probably, go through and change all my font sizes to 14 point. Some of the other things I always do is adjust, I call it leading, and that is the old journalism term for space between paragraphs or space between sentences. So I'd probably change that to 1.25. Just again, clean up as far as the look comes through. Then we also, so once we reformat that text to make it easier to read, visually appealing, we also, of course, need some images. Now, we could go out and create images using some of those sites, which I did. I was frantically taking screenshots of during John's. If you missed John's presentation, be sure to go back and listen to it, because I missed parts of it and I need to go see. But I can go through and go into my tools, or I can go up to my insert tab and I want to add an image. Now, I didn't prep for using a cat on a toilet, so I'm just going to go through and actually, instead of just browsing, so I don't have any, I'm going to use the stock image library. And let's see here, cat on toilet. Okay, so we could start through here. Oh, I love the little rad dogs. Hang on just a moment, allergies. So we could go through, I can go through and select, I could do just download, say I want that picture. I normally download, I usually do the small images because we're talking about online training. I don't want my course to be really, really huge. We should have saved those fat cat ones. I will download. Again, this is more my internet speed, which is taking it so long. And we'll see how that works. But from here, okay, so let's go ahead and close that and empty that placeholder, and now adjust my kitty on there. And of course, that photo doesn't actually go with that page, but you kind of get my idea of this. So we'll reformat it. We'll add additional text information. I would also probably want to add a title page, an objective slide, or again, something talking to that effect. Create a test, different knowledge checks. Excuse me. I love allergies. and reformat some of the pages again with some of the interactions. So there's several ways I could go about doing that. I could again go back out to my tools and say template library. And we can see their course starters. I could look at some of these wireframe templates and say, you know, I'll just randomly choose one. Say this one looks great. Choose response. Oops, I need to set that and I will download it. Oops, I still need to close. I'm going to say no to that one. But we could basically just go through and then I have my basics built. So I not only kind of have my storyboard already done, but I have all that content there and I'm ready to go. So this is not just an amazing tool to help me as a developer. I see this feature helping in many ways. I hopefully won't have to do as much research, so it will speed up course development. But again, as people mentioned, I do need to verify because yes, it's not 100% accurate the internet. I can then meet those deadlines and maximize outputs. This will hopefully get some of those never ending or what seems like never ending basic topics out of the way, and you'll be able to focus on your organization specific content, stuff really that AI can't help you with because it's internal into your own intranet and copyright and knowledge and stuff like that. And as I'm sure this question has come through, this is included in Lectora and it's not an a la carte item or anything I have to pay extra for. Now, I know the question came up earlier, what about Lectora Desktop? Well, I want to add, for those who prefer to use Lectora Desktop, no problem whatsoever. I get it. That is my preference as I live and work in a rural area. My internet connection can be rather questionable. So once AI is finished, when I get to this portion, I could simply go to my File tab and I'll go Export. Now, I personally kind of giggle because it's called a Lectora online package, because to me, it's just a Lectora package. You can take this PKG file and put it in Lectora online. You can take a Lectora, into online or desktop. You can take a exported desktop into a PKG and put it into another desktop or online. So it's just a package file. So I'm going to go download it. Now, this is what's cool is how quick this does. Oh, because I haven't saved it yet. Hang on. Whoops, home. Let's go through and I need to save it. Maybe I did save it. Why is this not? This worked the other day, but maybe it doesn't like the poor kitty. So let's try exporting one more time. Ah, there it went. Okay, you saw the little thing. That's my internet connection. So you saw that go up really fast. I'm going to minimize this. Oops. And now I have Lectora Desktop. So from here, again, it's really, I hate using the term easy because anything is easy once we learn how to do it, but this one really isn't difficult. I'll go over to my File tab. I'm going to import. Again, it is not the PowerPoint, but the Lectora online package or just that PKG file. It's going to say, well, where is that file? And you can see where I was practicing how to tie, but now we've got teach a cat to use a toilet. It's going to ask me, where do I want to save it? And I'm going to go into my documents, my projects, and we're going to save it in the how to tie a tie folder because that's what I created yesterday before the fat cats all came up. And I'll go ahead and say, okay. And it says, yeah, I'll overwrite those files. So now I have it actually within Lectora Desktop. And again, I can just start building and continuing as I want, save it, that kind of thing. So I know, let's see, there's going to be some questions and whoops, let me scoot that over there. We'll take more questions at the end, but I'll quickly just answer one of them. It's like, does the wizard create accessible 508 content approved training? Well, as we look on here, one of the great things is Lectora was inherently works so well with 508, okay, or WCAG, depending on where you're listening in from. So it's that accessible content. And so we can see on here, when it's added in that proper structure order. So they would be hitting the headline heading first if they were using, let me hide this again, menu, there. Okay, so why am I, that's, Okay, something is looking really strange with mine, but it's in that proper order. Let's go back to the Lectora online. Okay, so it's in that proper order that they would actually be wanting. So my heading would be here, my content here, my image, I added it later. If we look at it, they don't have empty alt tags because by default, it's not set up as that accessible course, but we could make that adjustment really easy. So that's one of the great things about Lectora is it always keeps that accessibility in mind. So, okay, that was a rather quick overview of this. And I know there's going to be some questions. We'll be answering more questions at the end, but I'm going to stop my sharing as I want to pass this on to Rajith, who has an amazing demonstration to continue with you. And so let me stop sharing. Rajith, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Chris. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all. I'm Rajith Kumar. I'm a designer. I'm actually a very passionate designer, and currently I'm heading the design and development team back in India. Really excited to be part of this event, and I've been watching what John was presenting, and just now Chris did an amazing presentation. So the part I'm going to cover here is a little extension of what John has already presented. So before that, I wanted to let me share my screen first. Yeah. Let me know if you can see the screen. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about Lectora ChatGPT integration. And in this session, it's not more focused on the technical aspects or how it's been written or coded in Lectora, but also connecting that to a proper use case, because we wanted to tie it up to a right usage, whenever we wanted to introduce a new feature in Lectora. And as you know, and from the previous demonstrations, it's very clear that Lectora is much flexible to accommodate these type of integration, and we can. I've seen one of the comments like it's time for AI generator images within Lectora course wizard. So I think we are on the way, and we will be working on that soon. And here, when I talk about ChatGPT integration, and it's like ChatGPT is everywhere now. I mean, people are using it for multiple use cases, whether it's just adding a prompt to get some answers, or comprehending a detailed, complex technical documentation, or even for writing songs or poems. It's been part of many of the creative activities as well. So we thought of this particular scenario. Why don't we use it for enhancing somebody's learning experience? So we wanted to introduce that capability into a learning journey of a user. And thus we have come up with a presentation here. And the demo that I'm going to present is just a hypothetical situation-based scenario. And so the objective is basically to bring in ChatGPT's capabilities and increase or enhance the learner's experience while they're taking any type of course. And we wanted to find the right use case, because as somebody's mentioned, the net is not 100% accurate, or there are security issues with whatever information that we transact between different frameworks. So we wanted to make it very specific, and we wanted to choose the right use case for this. And it's very evident that when somebody is involved in the learning, and when they navigate through their own responses, and when they act as a part of a conversation or maybe interactivity, then it's much more meaningful. So we selected a use case where somebody is responding to somebody's problems or questions or something, and thus the user navigates through that. So the current demo that I'm going to present is having these three features. So there is a text input option for the user to register the response. It's somewhat similar to what John has already presented in the previous demonstration. And we are just completing the voice-based input as well. And once the user registers the response, there's a validation happens to check whether the response is appropriate or relevant for the scenario, or whether it makes sense in the current situation. And based on that, the system generates a contextual feedback, and it can be a little more personalized based on how the user is going to input their response. And to enhance the experience, what we have tried to do is using some JavaScript to simulate the popular ChatGPT experience, where something is being generated by running letters, typing text animations, and there is a loading animation that we used using JSON format animation. I mean, Lottie files. So this is where we started. Obviously, we have to create an OpenAI API key, and that has been generated using your logins and everything. And we have to define your scenario. So we have taken a scenario where the learner is going to enact a role of a product owner or a product distributor, and he or she is responding to a customer's feedback for receiving a bad or damaged product. So that's a scenario. And along with this implementation, we also wanted to try out how far we can customize the look and feel and the templates. Like Chris mentioned, there are a lot of predefined templates available. And we try to use something that is more like a branded one. Somebody can change the look and feel based on the branding, apply colors or maybe a background images or something like that, and taking away the entire predefined feedback for the user based on their input responses, because we have a lot of templates available where based on whether the user gets it right or wrong, you have a predefined feedback. So we want to take away from that, go away from that, and add a little more contextual feedback. And once the response is input to the system, and what it does, it works in 3 phases. First, it collects the data, the user's response, and check the appropriateness of the response with respect to the situation and the scenario problem. Second, it basically checks the grammatical errors and or spelling errors or something, and it suggests, okay, there are some errors and you need to correct that. And after these 2 things, it also suggests a more appropriate and meaningful response. So it basically emulates ChatGPT's capability here, and we are just making it enabled within Lectora's interface. So as this screen shows, so there are 3 data points that the variables and data points we are creating and tested. So the first one is basically checking whether it's the right way of responding or not, and it gives appropriate feedback. And here the second one basically check the grammars, and it points out where the mistakes are, the issues are, and it corrects and it provides a corrected response. And the last one is basically much more enhanced, or maybe much more sensible feedback with respect to the situation. So let me show you how this works in action. So this is what I was telling you. I mean, we haven't used any of the existing template. So we try to customize the entire look and feel. Just now it's ELB branded. So any client can take this and change to their the respective branding elements. So let me switch to the live demo part. Yeah. So as I mentioned, this is the situation. This is the scenario. A customer is complained about receiving a damaged product, and the learner is supposed to write a response to the customer that acknowledges their complaint and offers a solution. And you can see how the experience is enhanced here. And let me try 2-3 different responses here. Let me be a little rude first. So yeah. Got your message. Thanks. So this is what I'm saying. Yeah. So it doesn't give me any delay. Whatever the delay happens, it's caught up with the micro animation, and it says the response is not appropriate to the situation, and it explains why it's not appropriate. And I mean, this particular sentence doesn't have any syntactic error, and it also creates a more precise response where it actually acknowledge the customer's feedback and trying to provide a solution, maybe some kind of action plan for the the customer. So I can reset this, and I can maybe thank you for sharing your feedback. We will get back to you with updates. So they're a little more courteous, but I'm consciously making some changes. I mean, some errors here. So it fetches the response, and this the writing animation is achieved through some custom JavaScript. Yeah, now it throws me some errors in my response. And again, it talks about how this would have been improved or made much more sensible to the customer. So you can try a multiple ways of responding to this one, and it'll every time it'll create a new way of responding to the customer, and it basically provides you insight how this situation has to be handled. And this is just a starting point. We can leverage this capability to apply in multiple scenarios, where especially in soft skill trainings, where the user or the learner is supposed to enact or maybe respond to a particular problem to navigate through the entire course. Especially when you have modular learning units or courses, this can be a standalone piece where the complete module is built with an interactive experience. So let me go back to my presentation. Yeah. Thanks a lot for listening to this presentation, and please raise your questions if you have any, and Chris and I will be able to answer some of them. Thank you.
Okay. I will say there's a couple that's come through, and let's see. And this one, maybe a little bit more information. It says for this Lectora talkback feature, is there captions for accessibility? And if you can give me a little bit more information on that.
I think that is from when John was showing the text-to-speech generator.
Okay, perfect. To expand on that, Lectora recognizes any text box, and as soon as a text box appears on a page, it works with the screen readers, and so hopefully that gives you more information, which doesn't happen with all tools. The other question is, are heading levels assigned? Not necessarily, because it doesn't know. This is where I think we definitely need to make sure we have our humans looking at it, because if I were to go through and let's say here is my heading, do I really want that to be an H1? Do I want it to be H2? And for those who may be curious, this is part of accessibility, and it is helping those again with the not just screen readers, but keyboard accessibility in navigating as to what actually is that priority. So I could just go through here and change my heading type, in this case to an H1. I probably want this to be an H2, that kind of thing. So that would be done on your own. So. Okay.
All right, and in the chat earlier, John Holland from the Lectora team did say that the text-to-speech tool can create a properly formatted closed captions file and attach it to the generated audio. So yes, we can do that. Let's see, we do have one question about why. Well, so Rajith, in that example, you were using ChatGPT. Is there a particular reason you used that instead of Bard or one of the other OpenAI tools?
No specific reason for that, because we started working with OpenAI tools initially, because that was available much ahead, and we started our R&D on that line. Because when we tried this particular interactive experience, what we did as a baby step, it was just emulating the same ChatGPT experience in Lectora instead of having any scenarios or user response validation. It was just asking questions or putting the appropriate prompt and get the response. That was the first step. And we found a way to advance from there, and that was a little more convenient. And I think the same approach can be used to integrate other tools as well. So now the path is more clear, and I think we'll be able to do that.
All right, thank you. I think that we've answered all the questions, but if you put a question in the chat and we missed it, just pop that in the Q&A panel right now. We'll give it another minute.
I think I saw one question earlier. Let me share my screen again, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And thank you. Let's see, share screen. Got too many monitors going here. A question came in as to what's going to be the next step with using AI and Lectora. And of course, we hope this whole day today excites you about Lectora and using AI and all the possibilities that are out there. But you're definitely going to probably see some enhancements to this feature as future releases, as ELB learning really is just scratching the surface or the AI surface. But if there are specific requests that you want, I don't get paid from ELB, but I'm a big fan of theirs. And they have, if you go out to the studio, you can also go out to the Rockstar Learning Community, which I've already jumped ahead on there because of my connection. And if you select Lectora itself, you can see there is an ability place here for feature requests. And so if there's something in specific that you'd like to see, and I know I don't know if it's a dedicated person or how they do this behind the scenes, but I know they monitor the community, and I've put requests out there and different things, and they are fabulous about, responding to that. And in fact, I just got a note on a request I put a while back, and they're like, hey, it should be coming out in the next release. So very excited. So that's another opportunity and way that you can communicate with the actual developers, which I think is pretty amazing. So
yes, we have a whole team of people who keep an eye on the community. Okay. And also power users like Chris who are in there. We did have one question from Lori. Could you show back at the very beginning how you get to the AI course wizard in Lectora Online?
Yes. When you go to create new project, it will basically, it's under, or if you already have a Lectora open and you need to get to it, you can just go to the File tab on the ribbon, and it's just that top choice there for AI course wizard.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you so much to both of you for sharing that today. That was a great presentation. I think it gave everybody a lot of good ideas. Any plans to add this to the desktop version? That is a great question for our product team. So, or maybe this is the answer.
Well, yes and no. Just know that, and I verified with this, if you have Lectora Online, you have access to desktop. If you have desktop, you have access to Lectora Online, as far as ELB is concerned. Now, your internal network, that may be different, but you can always, if you log into your studio, you should be able to have it there. So until they do that, which I would love for them to, but it'd be interesting because the internet connection, I don't know how that would work, but I'm not behind the scenes, so.
All right, well, we'll find out from the product team. I'll follow up on that
Great.
one. But otherwise, thank you, both of you, for taking the time today to join us. Thank you to everyone in the audience for all of your great, insightful questions and comments in the chat.